Hey guys, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching this from. Welcome to the AvN Tech Talk. My name is Emmanuel. I'm a developer relations engineer here at the Aventus Network. And like I said, welcome to the AvN Tech Talk. So the purpose of this live stream is to walk you through what we at Aventus have been working on for the past month, specifically tech related. Now, I know a lot of you want to understand what we're doing in tech space. We've open source some of our pilots, so you have a little bit of idea of what our code base is about. We've released a white paper, so you understand what that looks like tech-wise, what the pilots are, what the structure is. So, but this talk specifically would be to walk you through what the tech team was doing throughout the month of July, what that looks like, so you have an idea of where we are and exactly where we're going. So, I'm just going to bring up my slides now. So, welcome again to the July Tech Update. So for this month, we had two main goals, which is investigate the parachain upgrade path for the AvN and create a runtime with all the AvN palettes that can successfully compile. Now, a huge part of this, I'm sure you can already tell, is about parachains. And I've got a guest on here today who's going to walk us through what parachains are, what that looks like, and what the AvN could possibly look like with the whole being part of Polkadot ecosystem. But before I walk you through that, and before I bring him on, I'm going to walk you through some other updates that we had this month, and then we dive into parachains. So before that, just to remind you again, Aventus is enterprise grade. We're interoperable, we're sustainable, we're efficient. To walk you through what that is, it's simply we're enterprise grade, which means that we are built to service enterprise clients and enterprise services and to basically supply them. We have a gateway API that is enterprise grade. So we're enterprise grade in that sense. We are interoperable. Most of you already know one of the things we love about Aventus is that we allow you to move assets cross chains. We're currently interoperable with Ethereum. And when my guest comes in, he's going to talk about being a parachain on Polkadot, and we can then explore what it would look like being interoperable with the Polkadot ecosystem as well. Also, we are sustainable. There's the whole energy efficiency there, especially now with us being a third tier blockchain, you know? So it's that new third generation of blockchains. We are energy efficient. We're just ticking all those boxes in terms of sustainability. And also we are efficient. So we can scale 2,000 transactions per second and some other really cool numbers there that you can look at. Just pause the video anytime and watch that on your own time. So the structure of this particular tech talk would be AIP discussions. I'm going to walk you through what those are. Then I'm going to walk you through a new tool that we have is Lifting dApp. Then we have a new white paper, and we delve into parachains. So on that, let's go to, where is this? I'm going to share my screen with you, and then we're going to walk you through the first thing, which is AIP discussions. There. So I've brought up AIPs before on this tech talk, and what AIPs are is basically Aventus improvement proposals and a way for you, the community, to propose improvements to the Aventus network. Like I said, some of our code is already open sourced, and we are on the journey to open sourcing most of our code, all of it. So you can look at what we currently have available. You can check out our white paper and then propose things that you would like to see on the AvN. What we've done, especially this month, is to help that conversation happen, right? So you can, for example, go to core at the top here. You will see core palettes, you see core proposals, and then you can click any of those proposals, scroll all the way down. Basically what this is a real specification about what this proposal is about, its motivation, explaining a little code is. Now, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, and we have a comment section at the bottom, and this is put here so you can tell us what you think about the proposal. Have a little discussion on what this proposal is. Do you foresee improvement coming to it? Just having a little bit of a discussion on that. Now, the next thing is now we have an AvN dApp or Lifting dApp. Now, this Lifting dApp will help you lift your tokens to the AvN network. Like I said, one of the things our customers really like about us is the fact that, you know, you can really lift your tokens and migrate your tokens from Ethereum to the Aventus network. And we have now created this tool to allow you to do that. This tool allows you to lift AVT, ETH, your native ETH, ERC20 or ERC777. So any ERC20 token, any ERC777 token, you can lift those to the Aventus network using this tool. Now, and then finally, I want you to, just to remind you about this, we do have an AvN Gateway API, and you can start interacting with it yourself. You can come to the setup section here, click on networks, and you have basically everything you need to get started with this. It's a simple NPM install or yarn install, and you can get cracking with that. Now, finally, to bring it to a white paper, we have a new version of our white paper. This is a July 2022 update. We just released this month. The last version of our white paper was in March. Now we have this one in July, and it details everything that we've done on the AvN from that point to where we currently are, what the AvN looks like now, what happened to tier 1, what's going on tier 2, what does those look like right now, the Gateway API, the compatible wallets, where are we going tech-wise. You can check this out in our white paper. Have it. It's a really good read. So now I'm going to go down to, where's this, my mouse, there we go. So now, getting to the really exciting part of our talk, and the reason why my guest is on here today, to talk about parachains, to talk about where exactly we're going, what's the next phase for the Aventus tech. I have him, my guest, on here today. His name is Thanos. He's a blockchain engineer at Aventus Network, and he'll be walking us through the work we've done this month in parachains and what that looks like going forward for us. Hey, Thanos, how you doing, man?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for being on AvN Tech Talk today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do on Aventus.
Thanks for having me, first of all. So I'm a blockchain engineer, and I mostly work with the AvN side of things. Mostly when what we call like the AvN node, the substrate, and the DevOps side of things. So yeah, my day-to-day is pretty much everything around those domains.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. So you've heard it. Thanos is a blockchain engineer. So, like I said, this month we've been focusing on parachain. It's a big goal of ours to become a parachain in the Polkadot ecosystem. But first of all, I want to put it to you, Thanos. What is a parachain?
So a parachain is a custom blockchain, pretty much, which is project specific, and that blockchain like integrates with Polkadot and the Kusama network. So effectively, Polkadot is a blockchain of blockchains, right? And each one of the specialized blockchains, like the parachains, are very good in one specific things, and they add like additional functionality into the bigger network, the relay network of how we call it. So for a substrate-based chain, which is the framework that we use to develop like the AvN, to become a parachain, you have to integrate like a specific SDK, which is called Cumulus. And that enables the chain to become a parachain and integrate with Polkadot, communicate with the nodes there, and pretty much like it's like a language that took the same language, right? When we originally developed the AvN, we created like a layer 2 network that interacts with Ethereum, right? And we had to sit down, think how that interface will look like, how it will work, and design it ourselves. Now that if once AvN becomes a parachain, effectively, we'll have like the same level of integration with Polkadot, but in a more powerful and integrated way, because it is designed to work like that, right, from the frameworks. So just to make like kind of help everybody like understand some of the terms that we're going to use, we have like the AvN, which is a blockchain. We have Polkadot, that is another blockchain, right? We have multiple blockchains and other parachains that exist there. So when we talk about Polkadot, right, we're talking about like a relay chain. It's like the big chain that everything like connects next to them, like as you can see like in the diagram. And then we have these little parachains, like little smaller networks that they are like the parachains that integrate with it. And we have, each network has its own set of authorities. Like you might have heard us like in the past talking about validators in the AvN. Polkadot has its own authorities, right? So to distinguish between the two, we're going to talk like validators are the Polkadot validators, right? The authority nodes. And we have a new term for like the authority nodes that exist into a parachain, which is called collators, right? So what we were calling validators up to now in the AvN, it will be collators. And they have different responsibilities. Like the collators nodes are responsible into authoring the parachain blocks, and the validator nodes are responsible validating the chain and the blocks that have been generated in there.
Nice.
In the parachain, yes.
Nice. Interesting. Great introduction to what parachains are. So I want to then ask, okay, we know what a parachain is. I like the specific words you used there. You said it's a project specific blockchain that's coming into this blockchain of blockchains network, right? That's really great to really understand that. Now, what's the process of becoming this from a tech perspective? What does that look like?
Like how you become a parachain.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two ways that we can answer this question, right? It's like the formal process of how like a chain becomes a parachain, and then, as you said, like the technical bits. So so the first bit is like you have to pretty much create a parachain, right? And what does that mean is you have to create like a client and a runtime that they are compatible and they are able to do some operations, right? So once you create like a compatible runtime, and the runtime is pretty much the brains of the blockchain. It's pretty much it's like the part of the blockchain that the nodes use, which contains all the business logics in order to be able to execute transactions, saving the state, and interacting with the rest of the node in a deterministic way. And like given a state and an input, they will produce an output that can be validated by the rest of the nodes. So therefore, in this blockchain that with many nodes that interact with each other, there is like this. This is how it all works together, right? This is like the brains, the rules, like the deterministic way of how you generate blocks. So once you produce like a runtime that is compatible and like to be a parachain, then you have to integrate into your client, as I said before, the Cumulus SDK, and then it all comes like together. You are ready in order to become to start the process of becoming a parachain, which involves you have to showcase that it works as intended. So you have to show that you can integrate into one of the public testnets, Rococo, and then there is a process where there is an auction where slots will open for people who want for blockchains that won't become parachains, and you have to bid, you have to win that auction, and then given that you have successfully onboarded into the Rococo testnet and you demonstrated that all is ready, you can go ahead and start becoming a parachain.
Awesome. You said like demonstrating that all is ready, and that's exactly what we've been working on this month, trying to get everything ready. You spoke about runtime. You said it's the brains, it's the rules. It helps us with the deterministic way of producing blocks. Great. So then that brings me to consensus, right? So I'm thinking we're taking this blockchain, we're adding into the blockchain of blockchains. There is now this validators that's changing to collators. So I'm thinking that what's happening with consensus. Well, first of all, help us understand what is the consensus mechanism currently on the Aventus network.
Sure. Yes. So consensus is part of blockchain, part of the runtime, and it's a very important part, right? And it has two phases. One is the block authoring, and the other one is the block finalization. So there are different mechanisms that how you can author blocks in a Substrate chain. One is called authoristic-based round-robin scheduling, which effectively each one of the authority nodes that exist in the network in a round-robin fashion get an opportunity, a chance to author a block and contribute to the chain. And the other one is the blind assignment of blocks to an extension, and short for BABE, which is it's a block authoring protocol similar to Aura, but it adds like an extra element of who's going to be the author of a block, where there are slots, and based on a function which is called verifiable random function, like authorities will win that slot, and they will have to generate the blocks. It's a bit different than the round robin approach, right? and that's like for block authorship. For finality, there's a deterministic finality mechanism called grandpa, right, which is being used. So in the AvN at the moment, we are using babe and grandpa in order to as part of our consensus. When you become a parachain, you have to alter this a little bit. So you have to use the block authorship, the Aura block authorship, and finality works a little bit different because it happens like in conjunction with the relay chain. So the collator nodes, they're not part of that. So I hope that answers the question. There's a lot in there, as you can imagine.
That's fine,
Yeah.
man. So you spoke about block authorship, you spoke about finality. Great. Great two things about consensus mechanisms there. Now, given that we're going into this blockchain of blockchains, I didn't have to ask, okay, where does this leave us in terms of finality? Will that be faster or slower for us?
So finality, it's gonna be it's a combination of things, right? Like, so we have um, it's something that it contains, like the block authorship, for example, right? The block generation time at the moment, the AvN is like 3 seconds, right? uh, when you become a parachain, it's recommended that you use double the generation time that the relay chain does. So in this case, in Polkadot, it's 6 seconds. So when the AvN becomes a parachain, it will have 12 seconds block generation time. And the finality, as I mentioned before, like it's something that is dependent on the relay chain as well. So maybe let me give a little bit of insight on that, and then we'll come back like on times, like on the on the actual time that it takes, right? So uh, as a the relay chain is responsible for the network share security, right? And each one of the parachains like benefits from that, right?
Yeah.
So there is no degradation in the security. This AvN will be equally safe
No,
as before.
no degradation in security. AVM will still be as secure as before,
Yeah,
and now benefits from the shared security that Polkadot introduces, right?
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I mentioned before, like the authorship, the Babe authorship, which is there in the Polkadot, the relay chain. So there was this random the VRF function, right? So what happens is, let's say that you have your parachain, right, and you have generated some blocks and you want to finalize that. So the same VRF, like the random function, will be used in order to pick some of the validators and assign them randomly in some of the parachains of the network. So, there will be 20 parachains on the relay chain. Some validators will be assigned into the AvN random each time, and those will be responsible in order to start generate to verify the chain and produce the finality. So uh, obviously, this is not going to be as fast as it used to be, wherein within a few seconds we had, like, I think, like 2 or 3 blocks delay, we were able to finalize the data. But a lot of the functionality that we had inside the AvN was not using that number directly. Like we had a custom palette that was tracking finality across all nodes, and pretty much each node was reporting what was visible to them, and that was being used for starting operations. So effectively, the finality mechanism has changed, but we will adapt this palettes and this functionality that we have to the new mechanism. So it will pretty much operate in a similar, if not the same way as before.
Nice. So in the same way as before. There's no major change that's going to be happening there. Nothing actually that the end users will be able to see significantly, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Okay, awesome. That's great. So now, I mean, I know the major question that will probably be on some of our users' mind is, of course, are we still maintaining the utility of AVT?
Yes, we're still the operations in the AvN will be using AVT. It's going to be the main token that we use for paying for transactions, and you know the main commodity for the network.
Awesome, cool. So now we've spoken a lot about what the possible changes could be in terms of what the validator structure is and how there's not this new collatus thing. We've spoken about consensus mechanisms there, the authorship, the finality. Now, my next question is, in this development state that we are in, like, what are the core changes to the AvN that's currently happening? Raymond, can you hear me? Can you hear me? What are the core changes to the AvN to become a parachain?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, what are the core changes to the AvN to become a parachain?
Sorry. I thought my bad. So the one thing that the one thing that will have to change obviously is the way that the network is set up, right? So we have to pretty much add an element of that interaction that happens with Polkadot will be effectively, you have to set up the network to have visibility over the other network, and the other network have visibility over you, right? Because as we said before, mechanisms like finality and everything, the validators of the relay network need to be able to contact the collators directly. Now, in terms of functionality, like what we provide to we have palettes pretty much to the users, right? Like nothing will change. Like we try to keep exactly the same interface and the same functionality that we provide to our users. Now, some other palettes that we have, like system palettes, they might be affected, like the implementation, or they might even become redundant, as we move forward. But that's not something that will affect the users or anything. It's just some of these were developed with a specific mechanism in mind, and as we change the underlying mechanism, maybe we need to adjust them or update them and make them more relevant. So yeah, from a user perspective, you won't see any differences. The interaction with Ethereum will be there. We will not change anything there. You will still be able to interact with Ethereum in the same way that we were doing before. What we're aiming for is to pretty much provide a new interaction, a new way of a new major network that the AvN will be able to interact with.
Great. So what we're currently saying at this point is we're going to maintain that interaction with Ethereum, that interoperability there. We're still going to have that. And now we're going to have interoperability with the entire Polkadot ecosystem as well, right? So basically, we're going to expect a much larger transfer of value happening around the entire Aventus ecosystem, right? Great.
Yep.
Awesome. So now, my final question on this parachain conversation is, what functionality will Polkadot introduce to the AvN?
So yeah, so a lot is a quick answer, but the main one is this integration that will happen with Polkadot, right? It enables you to do a lot of things out of the box, and the main one is that it's the obvious one is you can start exchanging assets and send messages with the relay chain and the other parachains, right? And that opens a world of possibilities, which we are very excited about. We can go more into the details of how this happens, but the true value for the AvN is this native integration that exists with the whole ecosystem of Polkadot.
Right, native integration that exists with the whole ecosystem of Polkadot. What that sounds like to me is we're going to have this cross-chain messaging protocol that's happening, right, between Aventus and every other parachain that's out there, and then which increases the possibility of transferring value, right, between different parachains and the Polkadot ecosystem, right. This is
indeed, and it's a two-way street, right? Because this is like a formalized API, between parachains, other parachains can integrate with the AvN as well, not only us with them. So, it's really, really exciting.
Interesting. It is really, really exciting and really great stuff. Okay, so of course, we going into the Polkadot ecosystem, one of the things that we bring into the Polkadot ecosystem is the fact that we are enterprise grade, and We bring enterprise clients, enterprise grade API. We bring all of this into the Polkadot ecosystem. So thank you very much, Thanos, for being with me here on the AvN Talk today and helping everyone who all our community really understand what we do tech-wise and what we've done so far in the past month. Really appreciate it. So I'm just going to walk us through a couple other things. Just going to bring my slide up a bit, which is just, what is this? So just like I said before, we do have the AvN Gateway API. It's an enterprise-grade API, and you can use it. It's available to be used. The link to the documentation is in the caption, so please do check that out. We have a wallet. You can use the wallet to stake your AVT on the Aventus network, track your AVT, and see your daily balance increase of your AVT if you are staking. And you also have access to the Block Explorer, where you can see the millions and millions of transactions that have been executed in Aventus network. So we come to the end of this AvN Tech Talk, this July update for you. We're really glad that you were on the talk today and really understanding exactly what we're doing. So see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.
See you, everyone.
Bye.